Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Rae and Addison from Rose-Colored World to the podcast. Rose-Colored World is currently signed with Velocity Records, and they have an album coming out later in 2025. The band talks about their experiences growing up, the emo scenes in Florida and New Jersey, and how they were impactful, connecting in Los Angeles, touring, and more. Thanks so much for listening to As the Story Grows. If this is your first time listening, thanks so much. I would love it if you subscribed to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. You can find links in the show notes or over at asthestorygrows.com to our podcast community on Discord, our mailing list on Substack, or you can support the show financially and get early access over on Patreon. I also posted my favorite albums of the year, numbers 100 through 51. That is just for Patreon members. So sign up if you're interested. Enjoy today's chat with Rose-Colored World.
Oh, can you hear it calling? The clock is ticking out of time. The hours pass, I'm never satisfied. I throw my words around, pick myself up from off the ground, take a breath so I don't try and hide.
Well, thanks for hanging out. You guys out in LA?
Yes.
You're out in LA. Where are you based?
DC.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Are you guys originally from LA or California?
No, I'm from New York, and Rae is from Florida originally.
Gotcha. That's cool. What took you to LA? Just music and trying to...
Yeah, music separately, and then we met out here 7 years ago.
Yeah, we met like a few weeks after I moved to LA, actually. It was like pretty immediate where I met Addison and kind of like all our homies that are in our creative friend circle. And it was like I found my people kind of right away, and I feel very thankful for that.
That's awesome. What was, I guess, growing up in New York and Florida like for each of you separately?
New York, I'm from a pretty small town in Long Island.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a bubble, but it was a nice childhood. Once I found music, I definitely wanted to get out from like the age of probably like 13 when I started to play drums. And that was my sole mission.
Nice.
Growing up in Florida, I felt like a complete alien because culturally, from beliefs to mindset to my, just being a creative person, I just completely felt like no one understood that this is what I was going to do. And I didn't really care. I just kind of was like, I'm going to do my thing. And then when I can go, I'm going to go and make music. And then I met Addison, who was on like the same path as me.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Yeah, we felt like coming together would yield better results. And I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. Florida's so weird, like, because there are these creative pockets and like it's had good music scenes throughout the years, but like culturally it's such a melting pot of weird.
yeah, I was very behind, but a lot of great bands came out of there, like Newfound Glory, A Day to Remember, Dashboard Confessional, Hey Monday, like a lot of bands that are in our scene that I grew up, looking up to. And then parallel, Addison's growing up in Long Island,
Right.
They Envy on the Coast. What other bands came out of there? Bayside.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of other people in the scene. So
And
it's just
Jersey.
yeah. So it's just funny that we were like in these niche spaces where the scene was alive and well, and where we were being kind of molded.
Yeah. Is that kind of just what got each of you into music, like having the strong emo scene at the time that you were like, I don't know, teenagers and influenced by that, or was there something?
Well, for me, when I started playing drums, the emo scene really wasn't happening quite yet when I was super young. So I was playing rock and roll, and then the emo scene started coming up, and bands like Taking Back Sunday and Brand New, they released their first album when I was just a kid, and I have a fond memory of being in my cafeteria with headphones on, hearing the Used and Fall Out Boy's first album in headphones and being like, wow, like music can sound like this, because like it sounded so good, and I think that's what really did it for me.
I grew up, my dad's a drummer, Addison's dad's a drummer as well, but my dad played really sick cover gigs in South Florida, and so that was kind of my saving grace, was that every week I would kind of go watch him play and watch people get up and dance, and he played classic rock, and I grew up listening to The Doors, Bob Dylan, Joan Jett, Heart, like a lot of the old school rock. And then for me, I was on the bus one day and I went home with a friend, and her older sister was listening to, a lot of the pop punk, emo, alternative rock bands that were kind of up and coming. And I was like, what is this? This is crazy, because it had bass, drums, guitars, but it was like people that were teenagers or in their 20s doing it, not grown men with big beards, So I was like, this is way cool.
Yeah. What was it that drove each of you to LA to try to, I don't know, kickstart your musical journey or career?
So for me personally, my best friend, John Castelli, who's an incredible mix engineer now, he just did the Billie Eilish album. We met on Long Island and we started recording songs together, which ultimately led to us meeting certain people that would be living in LA. And then I signed the publishing deal in LA. That's what brought me out first. And I was like, yeah, let's figure it out.
I started posting on Instagram like 7 or 8 years. I mean, at least 8 years ago now, maybe 8, 9. And I got kind of a buzz on posting covers on my personal back then, before Reels, when one could just go and the algorithm was more favorable for humans. And I started having this conversation with somebody who wanted to manage me. And my best friend was living in San Francisco. So I got flown out to the West Coast and just kind of made my way. That ended up falling through, like most things do, via internet and just in music, because you never really know. But it led me to meeting all of my soul people. But when I first moved out here, man, I was on a blow up mattress, like straight up in a apartment in Northridge, like not by the LA, the center of LA. And I just kind of figured it out. You meet people, you go to sessions, and
we both didn't know anyone when we moved out here, and it's really beautiful to see the life that we created, and to now get to be touring a ton and releasing music with the label. We're just really grateful.
How'd you two end up meeting, and what was it about that connection that made you say we should make music together?
We met a few weeks after I moved here, but we met at a bar in Hollywood called Sassafras, and it was the night Tom Petty passed away. Oh, wow. So it was like a jam. Everyone was jumping up. Addison had a show down the street. I almost didn't make it there because my car, I had a blowout on the 101 where like my tire went. My friend Zach invited me, and thank God he was with me in the car, so he knew how to do my tire at the time. But we went, me and Addison met. Ad was like, we should write together. And 2 days later, we started writing, and we never stopped. It was kind of effortless.
We were writing together at first for each other's projects. Okay. And I was coming off a pretty devastating moment in my own solo career. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I just kept making music. And then Rae got booked for a solo show, and she asked me to back her up. And after we got off stage, people were like, "Oh, what's your band called?"
Yeah, what do you guys call?
Like, what? And at the time, we both were wearing literally the same rose-colored glasses like every day. And we were in the car, and she's like, "Well, do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" She's like, "What should we be called?" And we were both wearing glasses, and I was like, Rose-Colored World. And that's how it started.
Nice. That's nice and effortless.
Yeah, that was the first band name that I've ever made that was good in my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing has been I'm a big firm believer in alignment And when you do the thing that you feel like your purpose is, and you're not an asshole, and you just show up and you give it everything you got, it's really interesting how the universe and the world will work with you. And I think that's what happened with me and Addison coming together. And all of this, like from our booking agent to the label, you know, it was a lot of work, meaning showing up, writing the songs, going to the places. But at the same time, I do feel like we've been in this essence of alignment that I feel very thankful to. And
it wasn't easy for this project. Like, yeah, we always felt like us together was something special, but nobody else was seeing it for a long time. And we just kept writing. We kept, you know, kind of finding what our sound was, finding what we looked like, you know, what the world would look like. And then it just started clicking. And the last like 6 months specifically have been really awesome. So like when people are buying tickets for our upcoming tour, or, you know, on TikTok, we have all these comments of people listening and our numbers going up. We're just like, wait.
People are listening.
Is this really happening? You know?
Give it up for all the ones who felt alone somewhere inside. Give it time so you can breathe. Baby, it's not easy. Yeah, I know that'll be okay. Not the first, won't be the last time. Do you think
You guys announced you signed with Velocity Records back in August. How'd you get connected with them?
So Rae and I were sitting in our backyard with COVID, and we were literally manifesting and meditating in silence that we need a booking agent because we played everywhere in LA. For like 2 days.
Yeah. And also, like, let me back it up. In 2022, we played everywhere in LA. I mean, if it was a tattoo shop, a backyard, the Viper Room, the Troubadour, it was like wherever somebody would have us play, we were like, we will play a set and we will throw down and have a great time and bring people out. And so we headlined the Troubadour at the end of November of 22. And we kind of realized, like, all right, we got to get out of LA. Like, we've done it, we've built it here, but like, we got to get out there. And so it was February of 23 that we had COVID in the backyard, and we were just like, you know, something's got to give, kind of a thing. And
the next morning we woke up and I saw like our numbers were up that day, and I'm like, something's going on. And it turns out that State of the Scene podcast tweeted of our song Spit Me Out, and it got like 230,000 views
in like a day.
Yeah. And our manager started getting hit up by a lot of people. One of those was Sound Talent Group, which is our booking agency. So we signed with them, which was a huge milestone. And then we were starting to take label meetings. And then Dave Shapiro, who owns Sound Talent Group, popped in the conversation and said he wants to sign us to Velocity, which we didn't know at the time.
It was such a left field thing because we were talking to so many other labels and kind of taking meetings. And then once that came in, it just felt very synonymous with what we wanted to do. And the biggest thing was like, we don't want to change what you are doing at all. We just want to help amplify what you're doing and co-create what you're doing. And so
and Dave is the best. And what was really enticing for us, because we love to play shows, and we love to tour, and us being under one roof for booking and label really made sense. And that's how we got to Velocity.
Yeah, Dave's a legend, man. Like he's booked from A Day to Remember to Sum 41 to Pierce the Veil to people that you wouldn't even think in between, like Hanson, you know. So it's been cool being, you know, under his wing and learning a lot and getting really cool opportunities from the hard work that we've put in.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not a reason you signed to a label, but once you're signed to Velocity, do you look at like your now label mates and it's like, oh shit, like.
Yeah, it was. We were backstage at When We Were Young, and I saw Cove from Seosin and Dead American, And, I grew up listening to that album, and
Yeah.
to just be able to say in the conversation, like, hey, I'm Addison, I'm in Rose-Colored World. We just signed to Dave. We're on the same label.
Yeah.
And he's like, good on you. Dave's the man. And then he just goes on stage and just rips a set.
Yeah, for like 40,000 people.
It's definitely been surreal, because Velocity is with Equal Vision, so we're technically aligned to both. And to see bands like Yellow Card and Armor for Sleep, and it's
Paris was,
it's pretty wild stuff. And that's why I think we've been so disciplined, because this opportunity we've been wanting for so long. So we're just trying to, give our best every day to it, to make it, to get as far as we can.
Yeah. There seems to be this resurgence in that like big emo boom sound, whether it's like the reuniting of bands, like, and how We Were Young is so huge, but also new bands like yourself coming onto the scene. Why do you think that this scene or this sound has kind of recaptured a place in the spotlight?
For me, and Addison can speak to this himself, but what I noticed was, the world shuts down in 2020. We all don't know what to do with ourselves except think about existential dread. We don't know what to do with that energy. We pick up guitars, we pick up instruments, we pick up notebooks, we start feeling again, right? And I think that before that, we were in almost like an indie rock kind of feel, where that was kind of the dominant on radio or whatever. But I think it was a very natural progression. Like, we all felt fucking sad. We all felt, I had pink hair in 2019, and now I have jet black hair, and I've had this for years, because I think and what, we are going through as a country and as a society right now, there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of emotions, and what better way to rock the fuck out and yell about it and scream and mosh and cry and feel with the people that you love. And I think it's like a healthy way to release the energy and feel connected to something bigger than just your own thoughts. Growing up and listening to a lot of these bands, when you're younger, you're like, oh, I'm not the only person on the planet feeling this way. There's other people that feel alone, or feel anxiety, or feel sadness. And so I do think culturally, it's sparked a lot of the rebirth of the genre, for sure.
You guys recently put out this new single, Broken Glass. You've been slowly releasing singles. Is the plan or conversation with the label just like to have this slow drip of music as you slowly introduce yourself out there while you're touring? Or is this the build up to an EP or an album?
So the singles are from an EP that is called Beauty in the Breakdown. So the last single for the EP will come out in January with an acoustic version of Cold Day in Hell. And then after that, we've been working on our first album behind the scenes right now.
Nice. Is the conversation different on how music is being approached with how much Spotify and singles and YouTube are influential in the music industry right now? Or is it like, I don't know, are labels still looking for like the album, or is it kind of artist discretion as to how you?
I think the common conversation with internally has just been like, there's no rules.
Yeah.
And there really aren't any rules. There's definitely like, we're making an album, but I think it's like, how much can you get from that album? Like, instead of just, because you drop an album, that's it, right?
Yeah, right.
And for us, the success we've had on TikTok recently is like, everything is new to so many people. Mm-hmm. And so we don't really mind either way, honestly, because we could make a video today to a song we put out a year ago, and it hit an audience that has never even heard of us. Mm-hmm. So we call it digitally touring. So when we're not on the road, we digital tour. Yeah. So we go on live. And it's been incredible because we posted something yesterday and it got like 11,000 views in 2 hours. But then you have all these people that are literally buying tickets for our tour next week.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't exist before.
I was such a hater on TikTok.
Yeah.
I was such a hater.
We both were.
I was like, another fucking app.
But then we saw the benefits when it started working for us.
Yeah.
Like, our monthly listeners, went from 8,000 after the summer tour to now 25,000 in a few months. So it's real people. And I believe that these songs are helping a lot of people, and that's the goal.
Nice. Yeah, you guys are on tour starting Friday. Is that just have this tour through November and then EP in January, and you're looking to tour start of next year, or are you looking to just write and focus on new music?
In a perfect world, we'd love to.
We're going to be touring a lot next year. I mean, I think that there's nothing that we love more than playing live. Like, I love recording the songs, and there's a joy in that as well, but connecting to others and like throwing down is the best. It's the best thing in the world. I feel like through the holidays, we will probably be doing the rest of the writing for the album and kind of being in that reflection and taking some time to just be, and then hit the ground running again in the new year. And
that's also how, we make our living.
Yeah.
So when we're on the road, it's like, let's go to work in the best way possible. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love touring. This is our second, we've toured before, but this is our second like tour being signed.
Yeah.
Where it's not like DIY, and it's very different, and it's freaking awesome.